Welcome back, SethBling here. Today we continue my quest to create a custom 360 card Mario-themed Magic the Gathering draft cube. If you missed what this whole project is about, check out the first video in the series. There's a link in the video description that explains what the project's about, what all the different strategies are that I'm trying to create. This video is going to be about the villains part of the set. So we'll see a lot of cards with this spawn ability, which is a villain's ability, and just villain-themed cards. So let's start off with Morden Koopa. This is a kind of generic effect. When Morden Koopa enters the battlefield, destroy target creature and opponent controls. That's really powerful though, and it's a 3/3 for 5, which again is not that great of a rate, but like that plus destroying a creature is pretty awesome. Also spawn. Let's take a look at what spawn does. So 1, exile this card from your hand, create a 1/1 black minion creature token. You may cast this card later from exile, and spawn only as a sorcery. So you can pay 1 at sorcery speed and exile the card. The flavor of this in villains is you have a boss that's at the end of the level, like Morden Koopa, and so you're spawning all the minions that are in the level, but you can see what's going to be at the end of the level. Once you get up to 5 mana, eventually you'll be able to cast this Morden Koopa. He's a very angry guy that destroys things. So this spawn mechanic has a lot of synergy with the things that are going on in both villains and also just like some of the colors, like neighboring colors, but we'll start to see that in a moment as we see more cards that are synergistic with spawn. So for instance, Fawful, Dark Keeper. Fawful is an enemy in the Mario and Luigi series. He's like the main and one of the main antagonists. He's a beanish wizard, I guess. But he's black-green. 3 black-green flying. He's got this spawn ability, so you can make a token, and then you can cast him later. Tap, target creature token has base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn. So this ability is very strong with tokens. And so it's very strong with all these minions that you create. In the game, he uses the Dark Star to create and power up these minions. So he creates Dark Bowser. So it's sort of like spawning to create a token and then tapping to turn it into Dark Bowser is sort of how I see it. But you can actually target different minions. You can target them at instant speed, so you can attack with a bunch of minions, then figure out which one you want to turn into a 5/5. Very powerful effect, but he's also very fragile. He's very easy to kill at just 1/1. He also has flying because he flies around on this platform thingy. But yeah, really good with other tokens, because the more tokens you have, the more fuel you have to do cool things with this 5/5 ability. Goombazz is the king of the Goombas. He's got spawn. He makes a Goomba. When it enters the battlefield or dies, you make a 1/1 minion creature. It's a Goomba. The card Goomba in this set is a 2/1. So the 1/1s don't quite match that. But this guy is 1 power and 1 toughness more than a Goomba at a 3/2. He's just a lot of power and toughness. If you just cast him, he has 4 power, 3 toughness. He also makes one when he dies, makes one when he spawns. So he just makes a lot of bodies, which again, very useful with something like Fawful. And we'll see some other cards in the next few cards that are also very good with that. Meow Azura. In the previous video, I talked about how in this set I've decided that cats have first strike and haste. They're just very fast things. In this set, so Meow Azura is also a cat, so he's got first strike and haste. He's also a big cat, so he gets trample. It's a 6/6 trample, first strike, haste for 6, and he's got this spawn ability, like most of the bosses in this set. Here's another. Oh yeah, what game is he? I think he's from Super Mario 3D World. Anyway, you can also play him or you can make him an enemy in Mario Maker. Yeah, Dragodon. I don't even remember what game this guy is from, but he's a dragon. He's got this spawn ability. He also is very synergistic with having a lot of tokens, because you can spend a bunch of mana to give your creatures +1/+0 until end of turn. If you have 6 mana, you can spend this ability twice and make all of your 1/1 tokens into 3/1s until end of turn. So it can get very dangerous very fast. Cosmic Clone. This is a cool one. So Cosmic Clone is a 2 and a red 0/0, but not really. You may have Cosmic Clone enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield or creature card in exile, except its name is Cosmic Clone, and it has haste, and at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this creature. So what does this do? Well, it clones a creature. It can clone a creature on the battlefield. It can clone your opponent's creature, or it can clone a creature card in exile. It can do that both for your creature cards in exile and your opponent's. But if you have, say, I don't know, Meow Azura that you've spawned, right? You've made your 1/1, then Meow Azura will be in exile. And so you can have Cosmic Clone enter the battlefield as a 6/6 first strike, trample, haste. Or, well, works for Morton Koopa. You can destroy one of your opponent's creatures and attack with a 3/3 for the turn. You can do a lot of nice stuff. And you can also do it with your opponent's cards. It has to have its name Cosmic Clone, because otherwise, like, you run into awkward situations where you've, like, say, got, you know, Fawful Dark Keeper on the battlefield, and you just want to, like, make another copy of him this turn. But since they're legendary, if they had the same name, one of them would die immediately, and so you wouldn't really be able to, like, get value out of it. So keeping its name Cosmic Clone prevents it from colliding with other legendary creatures, and it only attacks for the one turn. Pretty cool card. This was, I didn't write it down, but it was inspired by Nez Fluka, and I want to make sure I get that. Trying to credit the people who come up with cool card ideas, and you know, I worked on it too to change a little bit about how it works. But Throneroom is another cool card that does cool stuff with cards in exile. So Throneroom has this spawn ability. Whenever you cast Throneroom or another card from exile, you may pay 1. If you do, you lose 1 life and draw a card. So you can spawn this card, it'll go to exile, and then later you can cast it for 3 and then pay 1 because you're casting it from exile. And you get to lose a life and draw a card. And then every other card that you've spawned with, you get to do that with. Draw a life and lose a card for 1 mana. Also cards with Spook. Cards with Spook in this set, when they die, go to exile, and you can cast them from exile. So this is very synergistic with Spook, which are black-red cards and blue cards. But yeah, overall, just very synergistic between the Spook and the villain mechanics. Expendable Army. So this card creates X 1/1 black minion creature tokens. You know, we've seen a lot of synergy with minion tokens in this set. There's going to be some more coming up in the next card. It's an instant, so you can surprise your opponent with it. This is actually also intended to be a good combo with a certain card in the Architect part of the set called Yamamura Master Creator, who lets you untap your lands during combat, basically. So you can get extra mana to create minions. But it's very good just with, you know, the villains part of the set too. And I love the art for this one. This used to do something different, but I totally changed the card and what it does. Next one is Goomba's Shoe. So Goomba's Shoe was another card that had this kind of ability, but I just changed what it did. So it used to be when, like, the equipped creature dies, your opponent gets to control Goomba's Shoe, and that sucked. Nobody was playing the card. So instead, I gave it Equip Minion 0. So you can move this around between your minions for free if you have a bunch of tokens. You know, blocking your opponent's 3 toughness guy with a minion, letting it die, and then just equipping it for free to another minion is pretty powerful. So being able to move this around between, or you can attack with a minion for 3 and then move it to another minion and have a 3/3 blocker, that sort of stuff. Very good with minions. And then if you don't have minions, you can still equip it to whatever, which could definitely still be useful. It gives a reach, so it's a way for green to deal with flying opponent creatures. All right, next up we have Shy Guy. Shy Guy used to be just a 0 mana 1/1 with no abilities, which was funny, but I figured that this effect is actually just more useful to have in the set. So green mana 1/1 that taps to add black or red. So you already have green because you're casting this card. So on turn 1 you can get all 3 of your colors if you're in the villain shard, or if you're not in the villain shard, maybe you still get 2 of your colors. Yeah, this is called a Mana Dork. Anyway, it's a nice card. Pokey. This is another card that I've redone. Used to do something else. So Pokey has 3 hits and some -1/0 for 3. So 3 hits says this creature enters the battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters. If it would be damaged while it has a +1/+1 counter, remove 1 instead. So sort of instead of dying to damage, or even if it takes non-lethal damage, it's going to lose one of its +1/+1 counters. It starts out as a 2/3. Every time it takes damage, it loses 1. But you can also pay mana to gain counters. Pokey, you sort of normally kill it by just defeating one of its sections at a time, and it gets shorter. And so that makes a lot of sense. And then also if you leave it alone for too long, it can regrow its sections depending on the game. Mario 64 it does that. And so yeah, you can regrow its sections too. So better flavor, and I think this card plays in a really like interesting way. Yeah. But next up is Bully. So this is part of my cycle of vanilla creatures. There's one in each color plus an artifact creature. So Bully is this, I don't know, guy you fight. Anyway, he's a 2/3. There's like a power 2 theme in black and blue. So this plays into that. And then it also just like, it's a pretty nice rate. At 2 mana, it can block spook creatures, which are 2/2 face down creatures. It can obviously block minions. It's not so expensive that you don't mind just like sacrificing it for the blue-black or the red-black theme. And it's a minion, which means you can like attach Goomba shoe to it and that sort of stuff. So is Pokey, so is Shy Guy. There's a lot of like random minions in the set, which you can equip with this ability. Boom Boom, another minion. He's a 5/2 for 3. It's a pretty attractive amount of power for 3 mana. So he attacks really well in an aggressive deck, and especially if you can give him like trample or something, he can definitely force through a lot of damage. But the last card in the cycle of vanilla creatures. So that is it for this video. Let's see, how many more cards do we have left to go? So 321 cards in the set, 5 of those are basic lands, so that's 316, which means I have another 44 cards to go before the set is full. Of course, even once I have 360 cards, I'm still going to be redesigning a lot of cards based on playtesting, cutting some cards, adding some new cards. So I wouldn't say I'll be done at that point, but at least I'll have 360 cards and we can draft without any duplicates, and that'll be fun. But a little ways to go, not too far. We're past the point of having enough cards for 7 players to draft without duplicates, so that's kind of cool. 44 cards left is basically enough cards for 1 more player. So you could right now print this card and draft with 7, or print this set and draft with 7 players. If you are interested in helping me playtest or design cards or whatever, twitch.tv/SethBling. I'm doing a lot of playtesting, drafting with viewers, and designing cards on stream. And then reddit.com/r/Mario the Gathering is a place where you can suggest card ideas, discuss the set, all that sort of stuff, ask questions. So check those out. That's about it. Thanks for watching.